Hello everybody, I am Baljeet Dhaka from Pinnacle Coaching Center, and today we will discuss biology related chapter, that is animal tissues. We have already covered plant tissues and now we will do animal tissues. Now in animal tissue, see, we have already learned about the tissue. Tissues are basically specialized group of specialized cell for a particular function. So that was the tissue. As far as animals are concerned, what kind of tissue are present in animals? So in this chapter we will do this. When we breathe, we can actually feel the movement of our chest. How do these body parts move? Let me show some kind of tissue so that you can have a picture in your mind. For example, nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is related to the nerves. Nerves means related to the brain. You can say impulses, brain messages. There are specialized kind of cells, that is these cells are nerve cells. You can see neuron, and these are specialized for this particular function of transmission of messages. Similarly, we have muscle cells, specialized muscular tissue, muscle cells, spindle-like fiber. You can say the structure of cells are different, and the role is contraction and movement of movement, and that coordination with the nerve system play important role in our day-to-day life. And like epithelium tissue, adipose tissue, we will see all these tissue, but I have just given a glimpse of what kind of tissue we will study in this chapter. Now, for example, here in the chest, movement of chest, this is because the specialized cells. For this we have specialized cells called muscle cells. Muscle cells help in the contraction and relaxation of these cells, and which result into the movement of the parts. Let's take one example, stomach. This is stomach, and see this smooth muscle fibers. These are nucleus. This is nucleus. Smooth muscle fiber, you can say here like this. This is a cell. Location of muscle fibers. Location of muscle fiber, and you can have like this in the stomach. These are muscles. Muscular smooth muscle fiber. We will see in detail about this, but you can say the structure of muscle fiber like this. This is like spindle-like structure. During breathing, we inhale oxygen. What happens during breathing? We inhale oxygen, and where does this oxygen go? It is absorbed in the lungs. Then it is transferred to all body through blood. As we know, from nostrils, oxygen will come in the air. Oxygen is present in the air, and oxygen will come, that will go into the lungs, and here from the lungs through blood diffusion of exchanges, gaseous exchange, the oxygen molecule will attach to the hemoglobin, and from through blood this oxygen molecule will travel towards heart, and from heart then it will pump into the various other body parts. So this will the transportation system. And why would cell need oxygen? The function of the mitochondria we studied earlier provide a clue to this question. Why do we need oxygen? Because in oxygen plus glucose, that has happened in the cellular respiration of cells, and glucose oxidation, after oxidation it will become CO2 plus H2 plus release ATP molecule energy. Blood flows and carries various substances from one part of the body to the other. For example, it carries oxygen and food to all cells. So oxygen and food, it will transport from different body parts, from one part to another. It will also collect waste from. And what is the role of blood? Blood is also a tissue group, specialized group of cells. It collects waste from all the parts of the body and carries them to the liver or kidney for disposal. This is also important part, important function of the blood, that it will bring the waste from various parts to the liver and kidney for further processing. Blood and muscle are both example of tissue found in our bodies. On the basis of the function they perform, we can think of different type of animal tissue such as epithelium tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue. Epithelium, connective, muscular tissue, nervous tissue, all these are tissue. The example of tissue we will study. Blood is a type of also a connective tissue, and muscle from muscular tissue. So these are the example, and this is these are the type we will study. For example, let's take first epithelium tissue. Epithelium means outer part, covering or protective, or you can say covering or protective tissue. You can also call protective tissue in the animal body, that is epithelium tissue. Epithelium covers most organ and cavity within the body. For example, this is the organ for your stomach. Outer part will be covered by this epithelium tissue, and also the inner lining will also be will be covered by the epithelium tissue. It means you can say the protective layer is made up of epithelium cells. It also forms a barrier to keep different body system to separate. For example, this is organ, and this organ will separate from the other parts. This is because there is a protective layer. You can say epithelium structure, epithelium layer. The skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessels, lung alveoli and kidney tubules are all made up of epithelium tissue. All made up of epithelium tissue. These are the kidney tubules, alveoli, lung alveoli. You can say the lining are made up of epithelium tissue. Epithelium tissue cells are tightly packed and forms a continuous sheet. Tightly packed, just like this. Continuous sheet like this. This will be epithelium tissue in this format. This is cells, and we are studying animal tissue. Obviously, they have only a small amount of cementing material between them and almost no intercellular spaces. So this is small amount of intercellular, you can say, cementing material, but there is hardly any space we can observe. Obviously, anything entering or leaving the body must cross at least one layer of epithelium, and this is the lining on every organ. It means if anything enter in our body, it will cover, it will cross this epithelium if the particular foreign substance will enter into our body. As a result, the permeability of the cells of various epithelium play an important role in regulating the exchange of material between the body and the external environment, and also between different parts of the body. This is the permeability of the cells that will keep separate environment, exchange of material and everything will take place. Regulation, regardless of the type, all the epithelium is usually separated from the underlying tissue by extracellular fibrous basement membrane. Extracellular fibrous basement membrane, through this epithelium will be separated from the inner part. Different epithelia show different structure that correlate. Just different epithelia show different structures that correlate with their unique functions. For example, in cells lining blood vessels, we are talking about the different kind of epithelium tissues, and for example, in blood vessels, the lining or the lung alveoli, we can say, where the transportation of substance occurs through a selectively permeable surface, there is simple flat kind of epithelium. This is called simple squamous epithelium. In the lining of the blood vessels and the lung alveoli, there will be selective permeable surface, and that is made up of this simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium cells are extremely thin and flat and form a delicate lining. We require here delicate lining like this. This will be like esophagus and the lining of mouth are also covered with squamous epithelium. This is another example, esophagus, that is present in the alimentary canal upper part, and mouth are also covering with squamous epithelium. Skin, which protects the body, is also made up of a squamous epithelium. So these are the example of a skin squamous epithelium. This is the structure, flat structure, you can see, thin flat structure. This is the structure of squamous epithelium. Skin epithelium cells are arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. Since they are arranged in a pattern of layer, the epithelium is called stratified squamous epithelium. This is the variety of squamous epithelium. That's the stratified squamous epithelium. This if the structure in this layer form, this is in the layer form which is present in the skin, then it will be called stratified squamous epithelium. And this is cuboidal shape, and this is columnar, or this is just like column. So where the absorption and the secretion occur, as in the inner lining of intestine, tall epithelium cell will be present. Tall epithelium cell will be present where the absorption and secretion take place. This columnar, meaning pillar-like structure, epithelium facilitates movement across epithelium barrier. So this is a columnar epithelium, you can say, just like column we have seen in the diagram also, where it is present, where the absorption and the secretion take place. In the respiratory tract, the columnar epithelial tissue also has cilia, which are hair-like projection on the outer surface of epithelium. These cilia can move, and their movement pushes the mucus forward to clear it. This type of epithelium is thus ciliated columnar epithelium. Column are there, and column cells, there is an arrangement layer of cells, but here cilia is just a extended part of this layer cells. Cuboidal epithelium with the cube-shaped cell form the lining of kidney tubule and ducts of salivary glands, where it produces mechanical support. So sometimes question is asked, and this is very important, that tell where is cuboidal epithelium found. Answer is kidney tubules or salivary gland. So the location and type of tissue, type of epithelium tissue, the relationship, you must remember this. Epithelium cells often acquire additional specialization as gland cells, which can secrete substance at the epithelium surface. Sometimes a portion of the epithelium tissue folds inwards and a multicellular gland is formed. This is called glandular epithelium. So in gland cells, there are glands in our body, and glands in the epithelium layer develop into this format, multicellular gland form, because the cell is becomes specialized as gland cells, which secrete substance, and that will spread over the epithelium tissue which is required. So glandular epithelium is found in the glands. So this was the epithelium tissue, and what extremely important, and we have to find what we have to remember in this epithelium tissue, type of epithelium tissue and where it is present. Now connective tissue. Blood is a type of connective tissue. Question is asked, blood is a type of muscular tissue, connective tissue, nervous tissue, what is tissue? Answer is a connective tissue. Why would it be called connective tissue? Because the cell of connective tissue are loosely spaced and embedded in a intercellular matrix. This is matrix, and cells are embedded in it. Cells are embedded in it. The matrix may be jelly-like, fluid, dense, or rigid. This matrix may be in different shape or different, you can say, content. The nature of matrix differ in concordance with the function of the particular connective tissue. It depends on the type to type, whether it is more dense, it is less dense, diluted form. It depends on the type of the connective tissue. Take a drop of blood on a slide and observe different cells present in it under a microscope. We will do that. Let's see one diagram first. See this diagram. See, this is fibroblast, plasma cell, mast cell, collagen fiber. This is collagen fiber, macrophage, reticulate fiber, and again see also this diagram, adipocyte, plate, droplet, nucleus. This is nucleus. This is nucleus. These are the diagram. Another see a few more diagram, so that when we will discuss, it will be easier to understand. Now see this diagram. Hervetian canal contains blood vessel and nerve fibers. This is like this structure, like this. Bone cell, you can see osteocyte, and chondrocyte, you can here see hyaline matrix. This is matrix, these are cells. And in this diagram, see lymphocyte. Neutrophil, you can see like this, neutrophil. Polynuclear, this is polynuclear. Cytoplasm here, and the nucleus is there. This is eosinophil, and then basophil. Different white blood, these are different white blood corpuscles. Lymphocyte and monocyte, platelets. These are the type of connective tissue. That is, A was related to the areolar, and B tissue adipose tissue, C compact bone, D hyaline cartilage, and types of blood cells. E is a type of a blood cells. So this diagram and the last diagram, you see seriously this diagram, and because the question can be asked from out of it. Now the next, see the next presentation, next slide. Blood has a fluid matrix called plasma, in which red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are suspended. You can say in plasma, RBC, WBC, platelets, all are suspended. All are suspended in plasma, and that will make blood. Plasma contains protein, salt, and hormones. Plasma contains protein, salt, and hormones. So this means hormone is there in the blood. Blood flows and transport of gases, digested food, hormones, and waste material to different parts of the body. These are the transport role of a blood. And bone is another example of connective. We have studied blood, role of blood, and now here another example. For example, bone. Bone is also a connective tissue. It forms the framework of that supports the body. It also, what is the role of it? Also anchors muscles. This is bone, and muscle will be attached to the bone and support the main organs of the body in this way. So you can say this is playing a connecting role to the various organs. Without bone, you can assume human body, because through bone it will provide support, and other parts of the body will attach to the bone. It is a strong non-flexible tissue. What would be the advantage of this property for the bone function if it is strong and not flexible tissue? So it will provide the structure to the body, support to the body, connection to the body. Bone cells are embedded in a hard matrix. Here the matrix as compared to the blood is hard. That is composed of, and what is the composition? Calcium and phosphorus compound. Matrix is made of, very important, calcium and phosphorus. These are present in the matrix of bone. Two bones can be connected to each other by another type of connective tissue called ligament. Very important. These are two bones, and if these bones are connected with each other, then it is ligament. Very important. The tissue, this tissue is very elastic. It has considerable strength. Ligament contain very little matrix. Comparatively, ligament has less matrix. Tendons connect bones to muscles and are another type of connective tissue. This is also important. What is the role of tendon? This is a connective tissue which connect muscles and bone. Between muscle and bone, the connective tissue is a tendon. Tendon are fibrous tissue with great strength but limited flexibility. Another type of connective tissue, cartilage, has widely spaced cell. Cartilage has widely spaced cell. Solid matrix is composed of protein and sugar. Solid matrix is composed of protein and sugar. This is important. Then cartilage, you must have seen ear, nose, everything, trachea, larynx. Smooth whole bone surfaces at joint and is also present in nose, ear, trachea and larynx. Everywhere you can see many places cartilage role is important. We can fold the cartilage of ear, but we cannot bend the bones of our arm. Think of how the two tissues are different. Obviously, the areolar connective tissue is found between the skin and muscles. What is areolar tissue? Between skin and muscle. around blood vessels and nerves and in the bone marrow. Areoler, air-related means intercellular space is very high. It fills the space inside the organ, supports the internal organs and help in repair of tissue. Where are the fats stored in our body? Or you can say the role of areolar tissue, connective tissue, is to provide connective support to the various organs. For fat storing, adipose tissue is found below the skin and between internal organs. Very important question is asked like this. Adipose tissue related to, answer is fat, because suppose this is skin and this organ, between this adipose tissue will be there, so that fat can be stored. Cells of the tissue are filled with fat globules. Storage of fats are also lets it act as an insulator. So for the temperature of the body, to balance the temperature of the body, it is really important. And fat globule, these are the cells which is present in this tissue. Now after connective tissue, we have seen various type of connective tissue. Let's understand muscular tissue. What are muscular tissue related? Muscular tissue consists of elongated cells. Number one, elongated means muscles will be like this, spindle formed long cells, elongated cells. Muscle, we call also these cells to as muscle fibers. This tissue is responsible for the movement in our body. Obviously, muscle is responsible for movement in our body. Muscle contains special protein called contractile protein, which contract and relax to cause movement. Contractile protein are there in the muscles. We can move some muscles by conscious will, voluntary, you can say. Muscle present in our limbs move when we want them and stop when we decide to stop them. Such muscles are called voluntary muscles. We have seen there are various functions of our body which can be controlled by a human being. There are other, for example, heartbeat, which cannot be controlled by our human being. That's why these are called due to the involuntary muscles. So here see the diagram, nuclei, these are nuclei, the structure of muscle cells, and then striation, stress, these are striation. These muscles are also called skeletal muscles, as they are mostly attached to the bones and help in body movement. Under the microscope, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands or striations. You can say like this, light and dark band. When separately, you will find very exactly. As a result, they are called striated muscles. Striations are present, that's why they are called striated muscles. Cells of the tissue are long, cylindrical, unbranched and multinucleate, having many nuclei in a particular cells. The movement of food in the alimentary canal or the contraction and relaxation of blood vessels are involuntary movement. So this is the example of involuntary movement. We cannot really start them or stop them simply by wanting to do so. Smooth muscle or involuntary muscle control such movement. Those muscles which are responsible for involuntary movement of our body is called involuntary muscles. Involuntary means which is not under our control. Now they are also found in the iris of the eye. You can say in eyes muscles are there, but these are not under our control. In ureters, in bronchi of lungs, these are not under our control. Cells are long with pointed ends. In this case, spindle like this, cells are there, and uninucleate, having single nucleus. While in case of a voluntary muscles, we have seen multinucleate, but in this case, single nucleate. They are also called unstriated muscles because striation we have seen in the voluntary muscle like this patches, but here there is no patches. That's why they are simple unstriated muscles. Muscle of the heart show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout life. Without any, we cannot control the movement of our heartbeat. These involuntary muscles are called cardiac muscles. But if the muscles which are involuntary is associated with the heart is called cardiac muscles. Hard muscle cells are cylindrical, branched and uninucleate. Compare the structure of different type of muscular tissue. Note their shape, number of nuclei and position of nuclei within the cell. So these things will be different. Number one, shape will be different, number of nucleus will be different, position of nuclei will be different. That's why these are different types of muscles. After studying this muscular tissue, now let's do nervous tissue. Nervous tissue is obviously related to the nerves, and nerve is related to the brain. Or nerve is related to the, you can say, stimulus. All cells possess the ability to respond to stimuli. However, cells of the nervous tissue are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapid from one place to another. You can say nervous tissue, nerve cells are highly active or specialized for stimulation, against the stimulation or responding towards any particular stimuli. For example, you can say if our hand is touches any hot thing, then immediately we will get a shock, we will get a response from our brain. This is because of the nervous tissue, nerve cells. Brain, spinal cord and nerves, these are the part of a nervous tissue. Brain, spinal cord and nerves. Cells of this tissue are called nerve cells or neuron. Very important, neuron is related with the nervous system, that is brain. A neuron consists of cell body. Neuron in fact is the longest cell of our body, and nucleus is there, cytoplasm is there, but long thin hair like part arise, which we call it dendrite. We will see in the next diagram on the next page. Usually each neuron has single long part called axon. Axon is present, is a single long part. Many short branch structure dendrites will come out. An individual nerve cell may be up to a meter long. Even 1 meter long cell can be present in our body. Many nerve fibers bound together by connective tissue make up a nerve. So connective tissue is also playing a role so that nerve can be bound. See the diagram of neuron, nervous nerve cell. This nucleus, dendrites, axon, nerve ending. Nerve impulses allow us to move our muscles when we want to. This is very important because you can say various ions are also required. For example, calcium, potassium, calcium, many ions are required. Functional combination of nerve and muscle tissue is fundamental to most animals. You can say the coordination and combination is required. This combination enables animal to move rapidly in response to stimuli. So muscular connective, or you can say different kind of tissue will respond towards particular stimuli. So this is a teamwork. There are specialized function, but ultimately body has to work as a single. Now in this chapter, what we have learned? We have learned in the different kind of tissue in animals. Tissue is a group of cells similar in structure and function. So this is the basic definition of tissue. Plant tissues are of two main types. One is meristematic tissue and another is permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue is dividing tissue, you can say growing part of the present in the growing part region of the plant. Permanent tissue are derived from the meristematic tissue. Once they lose the ability to divide, it will become permanent tissue. Permanent tissue can be classified in two parts, simple tissue and a complex tissue. And here see this diagram. Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, these are the three types of a simple tissue as we have studied during our presentation. Xylem and phloem, these are complex tissue, compound tissue we can call it. These are important because sometimes question is asked on the what kind of tissue is this. Animal tissue can be epithelium tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue. These are the animal tissue. Depending on the shape and function, you have to learn type of tissue. Epithelium tissue, which is related to the skin, you can say the lining of vessels or lining of organs. Connective tissue we have seen like blood, bones, cartilage, tendon. Muscular tissue we have seen different type of muscular tissue, involuntary muscles, voluntary muscles, and nervous tissue we have seen nerves, neurons. Depending on the shape and function, epithelium tissue is called a different kind of and it is important to link the type of tissue with the presence where it will be present. Squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and glandular tissue. These are the parts of, these are the type of epithelium tissue. Different type of connective tissue in our body include areolar tissue, adipose tissue, bone, tendon, ligament, cartilage, and blood. These are connective tissue. Remember this where it is present. For example, adipose tissue, it is present skin and then blood vessel, or you can say organ. Between this adipose tissue is present. Then striated and unstriated or cardiac are the three types of muscle tissue. Striation like this we have seen, and unstriated without patches, black and white patches, and cardiac muscles are present in the heart. Nervous tissue is made up of neurons that receive and conduct impulses for the impulsive purpose, and with the coordination of muscular tissue, it works as a unit. So this is nervous tissue role. So in this chapter we have done plant tissue, animal tissue, and in this presentation it is over. All the best.